Hey, what's up everyone? How you doing? You just caught me adjusting my chair, number 22. This is where we are, Chair Yoga 22 with me, Dave Rennie. This afternoon I've got a cup of coffee. It's not my usual chai. I've had a busy day. It's been one of those days today where I just feel like I've got some fluff on my toe. That's not the best way, is it, to start the class? I feel like I've been just super busy, and I've taught quite a lot of yoga. But it is nice to be sat here on this chair because I get to relax a little bit with you guys. So before you start, make sure you're hydrated, that you're comfortable. If you're new to chair yoga, this is how we always start, me showing you my chair. Very sturdy wooden chair. So, make sure that you're on something that feels comfortable. Right? Might be your old familiar. Might be, the chair that you sit in a lot. Doesn't matter. Could be an armchair, wheelchair. Really, really does not matter as long as you're comfortable and it's sturdy and it's going to support you. What I thought we'd do today is I thought we'd take this time just to, reset a little bit. The last few weeks we've done plenty of movement, and we will do some movement today. Don't worry, it's not just going to be, stillness. But what I'd like to do is I'd like to do a little bit of meditative practices. So more about just slowing right down and just sitting, right? Because we've got a chair. So hopefully that's going to support us doing that. But then we'll have a little bit more, we'll look at pranayama, so breath work. And I promised this last week and then we hardly got into it. So let's spend a little bit more time on breath work today. Nice, gentle breath work that is designed to really calm your nervous system down, to bring the body into balance, equilibrium, and just to kind of like shift through those patterns that can sometimes evolve where we feel a little low of energy, or we feel like we need to shift out of some negativity. That's not to kind of bypass the negativity in any way, by the way. It's just to know that we can use our breath and we can use our body just to shift our feelings, right? That's what yoga is all about at the end of the day. It's not all about being super flexible and bendy and stretchy. That's not what I think yoga is about anyway. I think yoga is about being kind to yourself and paying a little bit of attention. So settle in, settle down, bring anything that feels comfortable. You can have a cushion behind your back, whatever feels good. I'm just going to go up to the screen and I'm just going to read a couple of comments because I see there's quite a few comments came in. Julie's with us. Julie's saying, I was just trying to remember what day yoga was on. Yes. You remembered, and Jackie's with us. Jackie's always with us, right? So nice to have you along, Jackie. So Julie and Jackie have said hi. If anyone wants to say hello, go for it. I'll check back in here at the end. But for now, come sit in on your chair. I'm going to have one final little slurp of coffee. It's not great, is it? I'm talking about, we're going to use yoga to calm ourselves down and, rebalance the nervous system. I'm drinking coffee. But, this will be my last one of the day. It is a bit late in the day for me. Okay, feels good. All right. So maybe kind of come with your feet rooted down into the floor. You might look down to your feet, right? I would recommend that you take your socks off if you can, but you don't have to. Don't feel like you have to do everything that I do. And then kind of feel the textures. I've got this nice rough carpet, seagrass. Seagrass is very nice, but it does stain. I've got a really big stain here. It's just a watermark. It will leak through the ceiling. Anyway, so feel your carpet or your floor underneath your feet. And then find somewhere natural for your hands. Mine will just land on my knees and then draw a little bit of length into your spine. So you're sitting nice and tall. Now, you can't see, but I usually show you my back's away from my chair. So I'm not kind of leaning back, but you can lean back. But if you can, kind of bring your bottom forward a little bit on your chair and just bring a little bit of length into your spine and relax your shoulder blades. All right, let's move straight away with the hands on the knees. Just draw some little circles with your torso. So you see what I'm doing here? I'm not really kind of pressing into my hands. I'm just beginning to circle my torso out. See how that feels. By the way, I should say, and I hardly do ever say this, is if you like to practice with a little bit of music, I can't play music and also talk at the same time. I mean, I could get the volumes right, but we have to worry about copyright law, and we can't play music unless it's royalty free, which I don't have. So feel free to kind of have your own little gentle tunes on, I think it's nice to kind of practice with, you know, some music that works for you. Hopefully some nice calming yoga music, right? You don't have to. It might be that you just check in with the sounds in the room or the sounds outside. It's not as warm today, so I've got most of my windows closed, so I'm just checking out the sounds within my flat here. Lovely. A little bit windy as I look out on my balcony. All right, come back to center and then just rotate in the opposite direction. See how this feels, right? So even something like this, a little movement, I think can be really beneficial. You know, kind of freeing up the spine, maybe a little bit of work into the hips, but mainly that kind of lumbar spine area, kind of right down the bottom of your spine that can get really tight, especially if we're sat a lot. You know, so what we're doing is we're just using the chair just to move into our spine, kind of waking up the body just a little bit. Nice. Beautiful. Inhale, come all the way back to center, re-lengthen your spine, and then take a full exhale. Nice. When you're ready, with the palms face up, bring them off the knees if that's where they were, and take an inhale and sweep your arms all the way up towards the ceiling. And then exhale, comb the arms all the way back down. So we've been doing this the last few weeks. So I do like to come back to the postures we've been working on, just so we can reacquaint ourselves and sometimes build on them. Inhale to sweep the arms up. And then exhale to bring the hands all the way down. Now, you don't have to bring the palms together when the arms come up, but if it's quite natural, then you might inhale, bringing the arms all the way up, and then maybe pressing the palms together. Notice what that feels like. Exhale, comb the arms all the way down. It might be that you don't do it. It might be that, you know, it feels like there's too much strain. That's okay. Inhaling up and exhaling down. Two more like that. Inhale up and exhale down. Maybe feeling, you know, a little bit of fatigue now. And then final time, inhale up and exhale down. So we just get the movement and the breath all matched up. Let's move it on. Little side stretch. Inhale to sweep the arms all the way back up. With your right hand, give it a little shake. Hold on to your left wrist. Inhale. And then exhale, a little bend over towards the right. So you're creating this space down the left side of the body. Root down through your feet. So your torso, your hips, your feet, your legs, they remain relatively stable. Take one more round of breath. So nice deep inhale. Then take a full exhale. Nice. Inhale, come back to center. And then the left hand around the right wrist. Inhale to find length. And then exhale into that side bend. So now you're creating space down the right side of your body. Letting the breath flow in, letting the breath flow out. Nice. Take one more round of breath. Nice deep inhale. And then take a full exhale. Bring the hands back to center. This time, bring the hands in line with your shoulders. Again, we've been doing this the last few weeks. And then just kind of flip the palms up and down. See how that feels. And the arms don't have to be completely straight. They can be a bit lower than mine. You know, find a version of this pose that works for you. And it might be that you're kind of down here, maybe with the elbows bent. Maybe you're up here, right? They're just little versions. And then just that little side to side movement. Again, rooting down through the four corners of your feet if you can. And then just kind of move side to side. Nice. Inhale back to center and exhale, bring the hands down. Beautiful. A little bit of movement through your head. Drop the chin down. Rock your chin from side to side. And then if you wanted to, and I encourage you to be very gentle here, is maybe draw a circle. Pick a direction. Inhale as the head comes up. Exhale as the chin falls down. Inhaling up. Maybe exhaling down. And then if you wanted to, you can just swap that out in the opposite direction. ready, inhale your head all the way back to center. And then take a full exhale. Beautiful, really nice. Let's do that little twist we do from side to side. So if you can, bring your right hand on your heart, sit nice and tall. Inhale, left arm over to the left, so there's a twist. Exhale, right arm over to the right. So you're just twisting the torso. Inhale, left. Exhale, right. Inhale, left. Exhale, right. Just let your head go with your movement of your torso. So it kind of just follows the arm. You look down the arm without kind of straining. We just moved into the neck, so hopefully it feels okay. It might be that the movement's not as expansive. That's all right. You know, just kind of find a movement that works for you. Then inhale, come back to center, bring the hands so the palms are face down. Nice. A little bit of movement through the hips and a little stretch down the back of the leg. So you're going to root down through the left foot, lift up through the right foot, make a basket grip around the right foot and sit nice and tall. Remember, you know, my spine is away from the back of my chair and I'm kind of relaxing my shoulders as much as I can. And I'm just lengthening through my spine. And I'm just squeezing this knee in. You know, you don't have to bring it this high. You can have it down on the floor, just the toes down on the floor, and you just lift up through the heel. You can grab a little lower and grab around the back of the leg. So whatever feels more natural. I make this basket grip and then this is good for me, but kind of find a grip point that feels good for you. I don't think I've ever said grip point before in yoga after all the thousands of classes that I've taught. That's the first for everything, right? I'm not sure if I'll use it again. All right, so you can see I'm just moving my knee around a little side to side. And then if you wanted to, like we sometimes do, you can lengthen the leg out, make that basket grip behind the back of the leg, and then just lengthen the leg out. Tuck the toes back towards the shin itself, the right shin, and you're just sitting nice and tall, all right? Just feel that stretch down the back of the right leg. Maybe bend into the knee again, squeeze the knee in, and then bring the right foot down, adjust your seat if you need to, and then we'll do that on the other side. So I go around the knee, you can find wherever works for you. And then I'm just kind of encouraging my spine to lengthen, my shoulders to relax. And then just these little movements that can feel really good. Breathe very deeply here. Nice. And then again, if you wanted to lengthen out through the back of the leg, maybe make that basket grip around the left leg and lengthen it out. These are all options, right? Try and stay nice and aligned through your torso, through your shoulders, through your neck, tucking the toes back towards your shin. Hopefully feeling a nice stretch down the back of that left leg. One more deep inhale and a full exhale. Beautiful. And then bend the left knee in one final time. Hug in. Feel that little compression through your hip. And then bring your feet down. And then just kind of knock your knees a little side to side. No kind of formal position here. You might rock a little further forward. And you just kind of dropping the knees. And then eventually come back to seated, or come back with your seat comfortable, or your bottom comfortable on your seat, I guess. Grab a drink if you need to, or if you want to. Just check the time. And I think that's enough movement, right? So let's get into some of this breath work. I think I'm going to take my specs off for this. I don't know why. I feel more comfortable. And I'm going to lean back in my chair. So I can still find length in my spine, but I just want to make everything a little more relaxed. And let's do a few different breaths. Now, we might have done all of these before, but these are going to be more calming breaths. What I should say about breath work is that not every breath will work for every person. So if I start doing something, you're following me and you feel, you know, like it feels a bit like you're getting more anxious than releasing, you know, then feel free to kind of find something that works for you. But hopefully these will feel quite calming. So we'll do something called 5-5-5 breath. And it's nice and simple. We inhale for 5 through the nose if you can. Then we hold the breath at the top for 5. It's around 5 seconds. And then we exhale through the nose for 5. Then we inhale 5, hold 5, exhale 5. So it's 5-5-5. And it sets the breath up in this really beautiful rhythm that hopefully feels quite calming. I do it with my eyes closed, and I'll talk you through a few rounds, and then I'll talk less, and then we can go off on our own. So we'll do a few minutes on each one. Okay, find somewhere comfortable for the hands. I'm going to do it this way, just with my palms here, and I'm going to bring my thumbs together. So my thumbs touch, and then I've got my right palm on top of my left palm. Shoulders are relaxed, eyes are closed, but feel free just to keep your gaze soft. Then inhale through your nose for 2, 3, 4, 5. Pause the breath at the top for 2, 3, 4, 5. And exhale through your nose for 2, 3, 4, 5. Inhale through your nose, 2, 3, 4, 5. Pause at the top for 2, 3, 4, 5. And then exhale for 2, 3, 4, 5. Inhale. Pause the breath. Exhale. Inhale. Hold the breath at the top. Exhale. Inhale. And pause. Exhale. One more time together. Inhale. Pause the breath. Exhale. And then just go off in your own little rhythm. Inhale 5, pause 5, exhale 5. And we'll check back in just a few moments. And then wherever you find yourself, just complete one more round. If you're halfway through a round, no worries. Take your time and then do one more round. And then just let your breath come back to a nice steady rhythm. And maybe notice how your breath feels, right? It can feel quite different after working through a little pattern like that. And then just give your body just a tiny little move. You know, have a little fidget around, anything that feels good. Maybe grab a drink. Check on the time. So I like that one. And I'd recommend doing that one between 5 and 10 minutes. And I think it's a beautiful one to do in the mornings. You know, it kind of sets the rhythm up of the breath. I think it gets you into a really nice place. You know, you can sometimes get out of bed. My yoga teacher used to say it's like the, what did he used to say? It's like the, something on the headboard. Vulture, like a vulture on your headboard over you, right? And you get overwhelmed about all the things that you've got to do or all the challenges of your life, and already you've started in this kind of like anxiety plain kind of rhythm. So getting out of bed and doing some breath work like that is very calming, and again with a little bit of light music on, or with the balcony door open or a window open, or even doing it outside in the summer, I think it's a beautiful thing to do. But also if you struggle to sleep, I think it's a really nice thing to calm yourself down before you go to bed. So instead of scrolling on your phone and all that bright light kind of wakes you up, and you close your eyes and you're like, oh, try and get rid of that as well. You might not do that. All right. Okay. So let's do one very similar. It's called box breathing. So the only difference is you inhale 4, pause for 4, exhale for 4, and then pause at the bottom for 4. So we didn't pause at the bottom last time. Every time we exhale, we just jumped straight into the inhale. This time you pause. And I always think of it as like a box. Inhale, pause, exhale, pause. Okay, so it's slightly different length, but you might end up being around the same. I'm going to sit forward on this one just because I want to kind of bring a little bit of alertness into my body. Again, my eyes will probably remain closed. My shoulders will certainly remain relaxed. And then we'll do the same thing. I'll talk us through a few, and then I'll talk less, and then we can go off on our own. So sitting tall, inhale for 4, pause for 4, exhale, pause at the bottom. Inhale, pause, exhale, pause, inhale, pause the breath, exhale, pause your breath. Let's do one more round together. Inhale, lungs are full, pause the breath, exhale, lungs are empty, pause your breath. Now go off in your own rhythm, inhaling, pausing, exhaling, pausing. Here, just complete one more round. Again, if you're halfway through, that's okay. Just come to the end of that round and then complete one more. If you had your eyes closed, then again, just gently come with your eyes open, kind of blink your eyes open, see how that feels. You know, what I'll generally do after breath rhythms like that is I'll just sit and I'll either have my eyes closed or I'm just gazing down and I'm just checking in. And I'm on the lookout of how I feel, right? Yoga is a feeling practice, and breath work and pranayama is what we're doing now, is really blended in within that. Without the breathing, then it's not really yoga, it's just movement. So now we get to experience, hopefully, a nice, gentle, subtle change within the body. And then, if you did have your eyes closed, then come with your eyes open. I'm just going to grab my specs, put them back on, check that you're all still here. There you are. All right, nice. Okay, well, we got there, right? That's 2 breath rhythms that I think are beautiful to do. I really do. They're my favorite. And then the other one, which we sometimes do, is just what we would class as yogic breathing, right? Which is where we just inhale and exhale. So probably inhale for 4, exhale for 4. Sometimes the exhale is a little longer. Remember, with that benefit of exhaling longer, it's kind of built into this autonomic nervous system, parasympathetic, which is all about calming, resting, digesting. So if you feel stressed, right, and those rhythms don't work for you, you want to come to a very, very natural rhythm, then I'd recommend inhaling for 4, exhaling for 6. Okay, and just do that for a few minutes and see how it makes you feel, right? And again, it might not work for you, but I guarantee that you will find something if you experiment with your breath. We do this one a lot, right, where we do alternate nostril breathing. I think that's a really nice one to do as well, but we do plenty of that, so you probably know that one already. All right, we're going to sit and we're just going to let everything kind of meld. Is that a good word? Let everything integrate into the body, and I'll just bring my palms up and we're just going to sit for a few moments. And again, this can be a practice in itself, right, of just awareness of your body, awareness of your breath, what we call a seated shavasana. You can do it with your eyes closed or your gaze soft. I'll certainly do it with my eyes closed. My palms are face up, my shoulders are relaxed, and I'm just spending this little bit of time towards the end settling and seeing what's occurred. See if you can find as much stillness here in this final pose as you can. Hopefully feeling, a little more balance within your breath and a little bit more refreshed through your physicality. Little movements can have quite a big effect sometimes. It's not like we need to work super hard. I think sometimes the more subtle our physical practice, the better it can serve us. Just kind of getting out of that busyness just for half an hour together. And then just to finish off this final relaxation, what I'd like us to do is just to exhale through the mouth a few times. So at this point, you might sit a little taller if you were leaning back. Maybe bring the palms so they're on the knees. Bring a little bit of activation through your spine, and then take a nice deep inhale through your nose. And then a full sigh and exhale through your mouth. Inhaling through your nose. Exhaling through your mouth. And then one more time, inhaling through your nose. And exhaling through your mouth. You can bring your hands to your heart center, sitting nice and tall. And then maybe just with a wholehearted bow, if it suits, if it feels okay, just wholehearted bow, wishing yourself well, wishing everybody else well. Namaste. Thanks, you guys. Thank you for joining me today. I'm just going to come a little closer to the camera just so we can finish it all off. It was really nice to practice today. It was pretty chilled practice, right? We didn't do a huge amount of moving. Next week, maybe a little bit more. Thank you for saying hello, Teresa. It's nice to have you along in class as well. So yeah, maybe we'll do a little bit more movement next week. We'll come back to those sun salutations where we can do in a chair, where we're bringing the arms up and we forward fold, and we'll do some of that stuff. And then maybe we'll look on the other side of the breath work, right? They're very calming breath patterns that we did today. But sometimes we want things that kind of really lift us up, so we can look at breath work that's a little more powerful, things like breath of fire or Bhastrika breathing, which is called bellows breath. All of those ones can be really good. Remember, catch up with all the classes, all the amazing content which is on the Virtual Village Hall. I've always find that YouTube is good. I think it's the best way to view because you can watch it on your TV, but Facebook's just as good. And then keep catching up on social media, on Instagram, on things like TikTok. There's loads of amazing content that these lovely guys are putting out all the time. And you get to shape the service, right? So have your say and, make sure that you're, commenting, and when there's surveys around, make sure you take part in the surveys, because this service is for you guys. And I think, just doing a few things a few times a week for a few minutes can have, a real profound effect. Remember what I was saying last week, is when we say a little, a lot, not a lot, a little. Right? A little, a lot, not a lot, a little. Just micro moments, or 5, 10, 15, 20 minutes of movement, of breath work, of being creative, of connecting and bringing some structure into your day. It can be really amazing. All right, you guys. I'll see you on Thursday. Thank you so much for joining today. I really enjoyed it. Thank you, Jackie. Thank you, Jack. Thank you, Susan. Yes, beautiful that your breath got deeper eventually. It takes time, right? Be gentle with yourself, always gentle. Sometimes it can feel a bit shallow, but thank you for that. It's a really nice insight. Over time, our breath does change. All right, guys, see you later on. Take care now. Bye.